Well, good morning. I'm Shannon Coon, and happy November to you. This week, my colleagues and I are going to be choosing our favorite spiritual quotes. Today, I am kicking off the week with a quote which I think can be really practical as we go through the day. It has to do with a virtue that is actually hard to put into practice. Well, for some of us, it's the quality of humility. Now, we think of people we have known who have exemplified humility, who have been truly humble people, and we admire them, don't we? We love humble people. But when it comes down to actually wanting and cultivating humility in our own lives, sometimes that's another story. People often confuse humility with humiliating, meaning that they think they have to belittle themselves or think lowly of themselves in order to be humble. But that is not correct. And in fact, this quote that I'm going to give you today, it gives us some really good insight into the heart of humility. The quote says, "True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less." Now, there are two reasons I love this quote. First, it affirms that humility is not putting yourself down. It's not beating yourself up. It's not saying, woe is me, and it's not denying yourself goodness and prosperity in life. A humble person knows that they're created uniquely, they are gifted generously by God, and they're equipped for a purpose in the world. The opposite of humility is pride. And prideful people are always comparing themselves and sizing themselves up in comparison to others. But a humble person doesn't play the comparison game because they know that there are things they are naturally better at in the world, and there are things that other people are better at in the world. They know their right place in the world, and they're comfortable with just being who they were created to be. The second reason I love this quote is because thinking of yourself less means that you're not occupying your thoughts all day with self-centeredness. When you're living in pride, you are constantly either patting yourself on the back for a job well done or beating yourself up for not having done better. Either way, you're thinking too much of yourself. Humility faces outward toward others. When you're thinking about yourself too much, you're distracted from being of service in the world and of being a gracious and loving person in the world. Now, I have always heard that this quote came from C.S. Lewis. Well, it doesn't. It actually comes from Rick Warren in The Purpose-Driven Life, where he quotes C.S. Lewis a lot. C.S. Lewis, in his book, Mere Christianity, this is what he says about humility. He says, a really humble person will not be thinking of humility. They will not be thinking about themselves at all. That's actually an even more precise vision of humility, isn't it? One that calls about not just thinking about oneself less, but not at all. What a tall order, isn't it? So today, as we go through our day, perhaps we could at least catch ourselves when we might be thinking about ourselves a little too much. Or perhaps we could arrest our thinking when we start comparing ourselves to others or judging others or ourselves. So brothers and sisters, may God guard and direct your thoughts and my thoughts today.